Greetings, God bless, and welcome back. So, I wanted to talk about zombies because we are in the final days of the end times, and uh, there's a part in the Bible where it talks about people wishing for death but not being able to die. So, I found this book, Zombie Apocalypse. It was written by Scholastic Books in 2013. So that's far enough away that the globalists who have interfered, obstructed with new helpful information, they didn't scrub this. And I really do think it's good to have hard copies of books, printouts, because things are being scrubbed on the internet. For instance, I don't know if the chat's going to load when you watch, but there's this article in that I read on. Uh, um, I think it was in Forbes, and it was talking about zombies and a book somebody wrote about zombies. And let's see if that works. So the CDC has a website that's still up talking about how to deal with the zombies. Amazon has referred to, should anything happen to do with zombies, that they will not be responsible for interference in their ability to deliver or do whatever. And there are other formal business, government things that refer to zombies. So to me, like, these are businesses. They would not pay people to have conferences, to write something up, to upload it to websites. They wouldn't do this if this wasn't real. Like, there's more material about zombies happening than, let's say, an alien invasion, than, let's say, Jesus returning. So these satanic companies and organizations are talking about zombies. Hence, I think this is they're doing what's called the revelation of the method. They're talking about zombies. So, folks, I don't know much about zombie movies, but I do think it's important to be aware. Let's see. One of the things that I just wanted to go on about. So there is a zombie apocalypse. This one quote that I put in the chat. I don't know if it'll show up for replay, but it's not always the zombies that are going to kill you. It's dirty water, poor nutrition, and sometimes other people. I would also say like makeshift living, like boiling water and accidentally spilling the water on you and getting a terrible burn, or wearing bad shoes or not having good shoes at all. Like, if you're wearing four-heel shoes during, when the zombie apocalypse breaks, you'll have no shoes. So people are going to have foot injuries, they're going to have hand injuries, like, things are going to slow people down. So, like, let's say a zombie apocalypse, or let's say you're going camping. Let's say there's a power outage and you're doing makeshift things. Be careful. Have some cold water by, if you're dealing with a fire. Like, have your aloe for any skin burns, or just like make sure you have some things always around and that you're using it, that it comes to mind. One time I was doing a work exchange at a retreat center, and these folks were going to help these activists. These This was when I was a new ager. So these folks were going to help with an Earth First. Like, these activists were being driven out by the police, and so I made a tincture of Bach flower remedies, which is a stress remedy. And they had a terrible time. It was like a 10-mile or 10-hour hike, and just terrible conditions. They were not prepared. And I was like, "Did you use the tincture? Did you use the Bach flower remedy?" And they said no. Why? Because they forgot. It just didn't occur. And so if you have all these helpful things, or but you don't ever use them. You don't think about it. You just tucked it away somewhere that you're never going to benefit from it. Like, that's useless. Like, start learning, your basic first aid stuff, and just how to be careful, cautious, when there is no ambulance, when there is no doctor, when there's zombies running us around, so you can't even try to go to a doctor. So you want to avoid getting injured in the first place. Like, I have made water a couple times, in just a makeshift situation, and accidentally pull the kettle, uh, and the plug is too short, and I'm pulling it, so I have this boiling hot water that went on my hand or went on my foot. I would spill it. This happened twice in a few years. So, and this was, fortunately, I had all my, essential oils, and, I had some cold water right by. So, like, it happened a couple days ago. So you don't really see it. Like, I mean, it's a little, I see a little bit of a red hue, just kind of, I don't know. Yeah, you can even tell. Well, maybe not so much, but it does. Like, this is a little bit. Look, this was the one that was burned a few days ago. Like, hot water right on it. So let's review. What do you know about a zombie apocalypse? Like, what would you do? Now, it seems to me that if you have loved ones, and if some sort of crisis happened, you all need to agree to meet somewhere. Now, if somebody's working 3 miles away, and somebody's going to school 2 miles away or something like that, maybe there's a better midpoint to meet than being at home. So, think about, instead of always meeting at home, is there a secondary place that's good to head towards? Because maybe home isn't, like the Bible said to Lot and his family. Well, they said, just don't look back. And another other parts of scripture where they say, like, don't go home. When I can't remember what event, but it's like, they're like, don't go home to retrieve anything. Like, there may be times where you don't want to go home to retrieve anything. So there are people who always have their what's called everyday carry. So they make sure they have a little bit of water, and they have some needle and thread, and they have their little, jackknife, and whatever, your little snack, whatever is unique to you, that's an absolute must have. That's kind of a survival thing. You really do want to kind of have that around. And that's regardless of a zombie thing. I mean, if there's a power outage, if there's like something going on, like a earthquake, and the road is all broken up. So, consider that. So, with this zombie thing, I'm still trying to. So, in Haiti, there are discussions of zombies, and people tend to think it's some type of supernatural thing. Uh, I wonder if maybe the people who are considered like the voodoo witch doctor that supposedly resurrect the dead person, that perhaps that witch doctor knows how to heal that person, and does something to that helps that body, like that helps that person um, heal. And then maybe the witch doctor also gives them drugs, so the person is under the witch doctor's influence. Because when I read this article about zombies in Haiti, the zombie witch doctor, or the voodoo witch doctor, enslaves the people. So the people are enslaved to the witch doctor, and until they actually killed the witch doctor. So I'm just wondering, how, like, some cultures have used drugs to, like, in, I think, the Middle East, they would give the young recruits hashish, and put him in this false situation where he thought he was in heaven, but it was actually just that he was very high, and he was just put in this room, and a fantasy ensued. And so they told him that this would happen when he died, and so it just makes for a good, like, somebody who is willing to suicide themselves, because they're like, oh, it's just gonna be, I'm just gonna have what, 21 virgins or something like that. So I'm wondering if that is how the zombie thing happens. Is, that the person wasn't really dead, and that the witch doctor figures something out, so the person is just healed, but they're under mind control. Because in this book, at least, and in other movies, it seems like zombies, like, their bite is very infectious. So to me, I'm like, well, what infection is it? Uh, Lately in the news, because I'm recording this in February 13th, 2023, I would say the past couple months, they're talking about zombie viruses found in the Arctic, zombie viruses, coming out of the permafrost. Like, why permafrost? Why are they cultivating these zombie viruses? Like, how could this go wrong, right? I mean, like, what are they thinking right now? Like, what worse? I mean, of course, something could go wrong. It's on purpose. I mean, what, we had that just a few days ago, crazy train wreck in Ohio, poisonous liquid, destroying. It's like a nuclear bomb. It's like a 3 Mile Island or worse. They're trying to kill us, and they don't even want people to die, like, in a peaceful, normal way. Like, the death they want to give us is torture and torment eternally. That's really what they want, folks. Like, they don't just want to kill you and your children and your little dog too. They want you to suffer, especially you, the creation of God, that which was a human, that was made in God's own image, because Satan resents us for being created in God's image. Satan hates God, and he wants to hurt God's feelings by hurting us. But back to this zombie infection. So apparently viruses have not been isolated, so I'm really skeptical of the notion of viruses. But there's some sort of impairment that's going on in people's immune system. I wonder if it has to do with electromagnetic frequencies, with 5G, and maybe, who knows, solar flares, or I don't know, barometric pressure, demons. I don't know, but something makes people sick. So could it be like, if somebody has boosted their immunity, and takes their probiotics and uses essential oils, and you know prays, like, can that overcome a zombie bite? Like, if we are going, this is just a thought experiment. I mean, could that heal? Because I just, like, in this book, for instance, it talks about the rate of speed of a zombie bite per the location of the body. So there's like, in an hour, if it's the zombie bite is at the head or neck, you become a zombie in an hour. So, like, people who, I mean, it's a similar trajectory as the swabs and the injections, it seems to me. They're like, because it's just getting into the bloodstream. So did those, is that possible? I mean, this is, AI, this is just a thought experiment. I think it's important for people to wonder. Um, I wonder about people who got the nasal swab. What's affected, how do they compare with, like, the only nasal swabs? How do they compare with the arm injection people? Are the people with the nasal swabs having more bad behavior than the people with the arm injection? Only, and what is the person who got both nasal swabs and the injection? What's their behavior like? What's their health like? Um, so, anyways, the neck or head bite, the transformation is within an hour. Arm bite, it's within 6 hours, and a leg bite within 12 hours. So that's a pretty rapid um, amount of like just time to overcome somebody's immune system. Um, so I would think that people have to be really uh, dysfunctional. And you know what? I gotta say, the stress of the past few years, the 5G rollout, probably the toxins from Ohio, and the chemtrails. I mean, all of those things are pretty toxic. So maybe that all would help um, cultivating zombies. So there was this like there was a Senate hearing that seemed to be talking about some flesh eating classified uh, thing. So some people are like, okay, that's going to be the Nephilim, who are giants, offspring of the fallen angels, and the of men. But the Nephilim were like, how do we know they were all giants? How do we know Nephilim aren't 5'9"? So because the altering of genetics and the creation of a zombie synthetically, I think that's a Nephilim thing. That's just maybe some type of chimera. But everybody knows zombies eat some type of flesh. I mean, I know there's, maybe they eat flesh, maybe they eat bones, brains, more. I don't know, but I do think consider this. So I would just make sure you have like whatever it is that's your thing. Are you a big conventional medicine person? And so if if you're into using penicillin or something like that, make sure you have what's in your framework. And if you're into alternative stuff, make sure you have your alternative herbs, that you think would remedy a significant exposure to a infectious agent, or that might things that might boost your health uh, when exposed to stresses and frequencies, because frequencies are a big influencer on health. So zombies. Uh, uh, so let's talk about past uh, diseases. So they're calling one retrovirus. So these are deaths worldwide each year. Worldwide each year. So this was written in 2016. So there was 600,000 uh, hepatitis B. So that rotavirus, 600,000, hepatitis B, 500,000, the flu, 500,000, hep C, 500,000, measles, about 200,000, hantavirus, 70,000, rabies, 55,000, yellow fever, 30,000, dengue fever, 22,000. I thought it was pretty surprising that yellow fever is still around, because I know it was a thing here in the United States. So they talk about the different stages of infection. So somebody who's newly infected apparently has like a pale, I think pale blue um, pale blue complexion. And initially, when they're infected, like let's say they're bitten, it takes so they fall into a coma. If they're bitten at the head or neck, they fall supposedly into a coma immediately. Uh, and so then, uh, and this book is talking about a vaccine. If a vaccine is given in 4 to 6 hours, so I think if you treat the bite within 4 to 6 hours, well, so if somebody's bitten on the head or the neck, you need to treat them like right then and there. But it seems if you're bitten in the arm or bitten in the leg, there's a bit of a slower turnaround. Like the leg takes 12 hours to infect the whole body, and the arm bite, I think it takes 3 to 6 hours. So, anyways, you just want to have your sanitizer kind of, or your, and I mean, I'm not a fan of sanitizer. I'm just talking about you want to have your remedy for a zombie bite on you. And there was something else I wanted to mention, but I forgot. So apparently, they lose their brain function except for one, like the more recent, fresher zombies that are athletic. They're going to have more brain capacity, going to be fast, and they're particularly dangerous. So it's interesting. They're talking about these different, like yellow fever in the 19th century. In 1878, there thousands of, let's see, 20,000 people died in 1878, rather. And apparently it was transmitted by mosquitoes, and yellow fever affects the liver and kidneys. Um, and then SARS, in 2003, first reported in Asia, and uh, 774 people died. That's 774. That's SARS. SARS, the one we've all heard about. So apparently, uh, zombies smell bad, um, and they can smell us from a distance. Our advantage is that we are intelligent, and we have strength, and we have speed, although there are some that might have some intelligence and strength and speed. But let's go into the recent zombie is going to be pale blue skinned. So let's say the zombie apocalypse began, and it's 24 hours in, and you encounter somebody new for the first time. If they have a blue tinted skin, so not just pale but blue, then you know that they are a fresh zombie. And those those are 1 to 3 months old, or I'm sorry, 1 week to 3 months old. Then those 4 to 9 months old are going to be more green of a tint, and they are going to be missing, like some parts of their face are going to be rotting off, their fingers. Those that are 9 months to 1.5 years old, most of the teeth are missing. Skin color is brownish green. And I watched a video, and they were saying that they thought it was a better idea to be in cold temperatures because that will stop the black, sludgy blood that animates the zombies, that it will freeze the zombies. So I don't know if that is the case, but I think that's an interesting idea. So apparently, zombies will live, most zombies will live less than a year, but they, so they're like it seems like the only way that a zombie is killed is by like killing its head. Um, so let's say it's like mouth, ah, rah, 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 it's still going to be functioning. Um, so, and let's say you do chop, you're in a zombie fight and you chop up a couple zombies to trip on them, the body parts, the limbs. Especially don't let the zombie mouth get near you. Don't let the skin, their nails on their hands, their fingers, don't let them claw you. And try to make sure you have a change of clothes. I know this is a lot to ask, but you're you're cleaning, you're washing your hands, you just want to make sure not to get any zombie blood product on you, from what I understand. Types of zombie moving very hungry. Then there's the walker, which is slow moving and doesn't have higher brain function, follows the horde even off a cliff, greenish tint, and maybe smelly. And they're not the most dangerous, but they still are a lot, or they're not alive, but they're not dead. And for instance, apparently zombies can't swim, but they have a lot of endurance. And so, let's say you swim to get away, they're still going to be there trying to get towards you. Okay, so it may take them a month, it may be taking 2 months, but they're still coming at you. So that's why it seems like it's important to actually eliminate a zombie. Then there's so that the initial zombie is, well, the very first zombie is the fresh one. So they're just kind of still figuring things out. Then there's the walker, which is still fairly not so terrible. Then there's the runner, and this seems to be almost a modern iteration of a zombie. Not that I'm an expert, but these ones have been athletic in their past life, so they're still in good shape and they're still operating from that, and they tend to be the leader of the horde. So they're very strong and very dangerous. And it's just important to stay away from zombies, don't go towards the horde. Then there's what's called the crawler. So let's say somebody, chops off their arm and gets away from the zombie or chops off the legs. But these zombies, like I've been saying, is they're still functioning, they're still seeking. So you might be in the forest somewhere and a zombie's just crawling along. It has no legs, it can't walk, but it's still looking. So you want to watch out for what might be crawling. And then there's the rambler. So that there's apparently these type of zombies that go off into the mountains and do a solo kind of a thing. It seems like majority of zombies are in a horde, but then there's these independent ones, and they can be very strong, but they may be slow, but they may be fast. So they're very dangerous. And they talk about in this book setting up an alarm system. So you can get like a bunch of tin cans and string them every 6 inches, and just not put a knot every 6 inches in these punctured tin cans to make a little bit of noise. But the thing is, you also don't want to make noise because zombies are attracted to noise. So a lot of the zombie material that I've been reading say don't shoot guns, because that is going to draw attention. It indicates that's where food is, because they're seeking human flesh or human brains. So back to the original thing I was talking about, where people might not even die from an actual zombie bite. They may actually die from just a disrupted civilization. So let's say you are running off into the hills. There may be bears, mountain lions, wild dogs or wolves, like things that might, scorpions, black widow, spiders, things that might injure you or kill you or try to eat you. So that is a good thing to be prepared. I think there's this term I heard, it's called a melee weapon. So, like having a hatchet or a baseball bat, like it's good to kind of have that kind of thing around. And I think, if you have, I was like, if I had to use like my little standing closet pole, or I was thinking a broom is a good idea, or um, if you have like a large glass bottle for your water, or I mean those can be weapons. So think about that. And again, you want to make sure you have good shoes, good clothing, that you're wearing appropriate, like clothes appropriate for the weather. So you might be out overnight in a crisis. So have a jacket so you can stay warm if you're trying to sleep under a tree at 2 in the morning, trying to avoid zombies. And so this list is talking about always wear shoes, know some basic first aid, get out of wet clothes as soon as possible. So let's say you fell in a pool or something like that. You don't want to get hypothermia. And that's another thing, like being out in the wilderness or something. Like hypothermia kills more people than bears and whatnot. So there's those those silver mylar black blankets, but those are pretty loud. And so I don't know if I'd have that, but just make sure you have, that you're dressed warm enough to make it through 24 hours in your location. Wash your hands. And, you know, starting now, make sure you're having some sort of physical activity that you can kind of do some functionality. Like if you're a potato gaming all day and coding all night, or coding all day and gaming all night, like you need to have some physical activity. Also, use safety equipment, or when you're using tools or riding a bike. So when there's like disruption, people, you might be frazzled, you might be stressed out, you might be dehydrated, you might be underfed, and so you may not be thinking clear. You don't have your cup of coffee or whatever. Um, and so it's easy to kind of make a mistake for the knife that when you're cutting the cucumber, it might slip and you might cut your finger or something like that. So really pay attention and avoid doing anything risky. Like I would not be using power tools. I would not be doing anything terribly ambitious myself. I mean, you know, some people are amazingly superhuman and they can do that kind of thing. But, and of course, if you don't have safety stuff, just go slow. There's no rush. Um, I mean, you don't want to cut off your hand, even though there's zombies at the door. Uh, so uh, just be careful and hold on to all handrails. So when you're running from the horde of zombies, you don't want to like trip on the stairs, because sometimes stairs aren't properly designed. So use the handrails at least while you can, and watch out for bad weather. So uh, yeah, I mean you don't want to get like hit by lightning or in a wildfire. And speaking of fire, you want to be careful if you are setting a fire. Like, let's say it's a zombie apocalypse, all the cities are overrun, so you're out in the middle of the forest somewhere, and you may be new to how to set a fire. And I've heard about, like, when I've gone camping, we made sure that we thought we made sure the fire went out, but apparently, like, if there's roots under where you've set your fire, those roots can actually get lit and then go to a tree and start a tree on fire, even though you thought you put it all out. So definitely know what you're doing, because you don't want to burn a forest uh, down that you happen to be in. That's no, especially now. So this book talks about rules of the road, travel in a small group, because it's just better to have companions, and so you don't get lonely, and just you can talk things out. Never go out alone. So and something, like, what do you do if you get bit? What do you do if your friend gets bit? That's a question you need to consider. I think, like, number one, I think there has to be some sort of solution to a zombie bite. Um, like, so I knew, the CDC's talking about zombies, Amazon's talking about zombies, military. There's like leaked videos where they took down zombie cells. Like apparently that guy in 2012 in Florida that chewed off the face of that homeless guy. Like apparently he was part of a zombie cell. Like the thing is, if you look at the picture of the guy who chewed off the homeless man's face, number one, that homeless man did not become a zombie. So I don't know. There's just something, like, so the guy who was the attacker looked like an attractive, healthy young man. This just does not make sense. He wasn't even, and they said he was taking bath salts. He wasn't on bath salts. No cocaine or whatever. Apparently, he might have been smoking pot, but I don't know. Maybe that's just like the craziest pot I've ever heard about. But um, apparently, that guy was a zombie that escaped from a group of zombies. If I'm to believe what I saw online, which I do think we should be skeptical of. But anyways, I think that people probably can heal from a zombie bite far as I can tell, even though I know all the media is saying you can't, like, I think the only thing you can't heal from is surrendering your soul to Satan. I think that's just the only thing, because I mean, the prime creator created everything, and he's he wouldn't put us in a zombie apocalypse that was just completely hopeless. I mean, this is just me speculating, talking right now. But anyways, so but anyways, if you have been bit and you think that you're going to turn into a zombie, figure out what you would do. I think if I got bit by a zombie, and if I was confident I was going to turn into a zombie, I don't want to cause other people to be a zombie. So I would try to figure out, how do I eliminate my existence so I don't become a zombie. But I'd have to think about it. I have to pray about it. So I think that's something to consider. Sleep in shifts. So during the zombie apocalypse or any kind of catastrophe, there's going to be bad people who are also trying. They want to get food for themselves. They want to get food for their children, and even they might be your neighbor, best friend, but they're going to become thieves and murderers because they want to make sure that their kids are okay, and it makes sense in their mind, um, and they will take from you. So so you need to not only be concerned about these walkers, ramblers, crawlers, new zombies, um, the fast zombies, which ones, but um, let me see, the runner, yeah. So not only are you dealing with that, and maybe bears and wolves and mountain lions, but there's going to be people that are going to be looking around, and they're going to be looking around for resources that you might have, whether it's like a gun or the clothing that you have that they might want, um, or they want to use you as a slave in the fullest, horriblest sense of the word, right? Like children, especially, because we are in this pedophile um, cult that's taken over. So yeah, it's horrible times. It's like it's the worst times. It's the worst times. So it's talking about sleeping in shifts. It's saying in 30-minute shifts. I really don't know that could actually, that limited amount of sleep could work. I think the ideal amount of people is 4 families. So you know, husband, wife, husband, wife, husband, wife, husband, wife. So 4 families and their extended family or whatever. But that is a good rotation of who's doing watch. And it's not going to be just one person doing watch. You need everybody watching from north, south, east, west. You know, you like, so you're going to need a lot of eyes. Um, but I don't think anybody can really sleep for 30 minutes only. I don't think. I think so. Anyways, that's a tough situation, but you got to figure that out. So always have an escape route. Uh, so you know, let's say you're in a building or you're in the woods or something like that. From what I understand, is you want to be like, if you're in the woods, you want to be at a higher level. Like if there's an incline, you want to be where it's a little bit, it's difficult for people to go up. So you want to be on a steep incline at the topmost place. Try to not be visible from the road. Of course, trying to be quiet. Don't have any fragrant food. Just don't create any fragrant smells, because that will draw either zombies, people that are hungry and going to steal your food, or animals. So you want to really keep a low profile. Travel. So this says travel during the day. That zombies typically travel at night. No, I mean that's what that movie, the there's the Charlton Heston version, and then there's the Will Smith version, and the zombies were, they came out at like 5 p.m. So, if that's the case, if during the day you're safe, that's pretty awesome. But I'm not sure that is going to be 100%. So, I think it's just good to be careful. And again, you're going to have to worry about other people um, that might be dangerous that aren't zombies. So, it says there's nothing wrong with running away. Uh, don't be a hero. I think there's a time and a place to be a hero. So, you're going to have to think about that. Always check above, below, behind, of other people. Don't be a jerk on wheels. It says take extra care in bathrooms. That's an interesting point. When you're having to go to the bathroom, you might think um, not be thinking about zombies. So consider, like, if the zombie apocalypse happens, make sure you have uh, some way to go to the bathroom so that you're not like having to pee and you're being chased by zombies. Um, Travel light, you'll travel much faster, you'll move much faster. So it is good. Well, it's good to have your everyday gear in your backpack. You don't want to make it like a huge weight. So always have some kind of like healing spray. Like I like having witch hazel around, or um, rose water, or hydrogen peroxide. I just use it as like an air freshener. Double knot your shoelaces, so so you're like, if they have a tendency to get untied, but just make sure things are secured, that you're not having to deal with some little pesky thing that could endanger your life. Then it says enjoy every moment. You never know if it'll be your last. I would say pray. Avoid heavily populated areas, because that's where the zombies are. Well, it seems like the zombies are going to be anywhere, unless let's say Alaska or Antarctica. But who knows? Move silently without a lot of motion, and I would also avoid sound. And it says climb higher, that zombies can't climb. So that's good to know. They can't climb a tree. It says blend in, pretend to be a zombie. But I'm like, if they can smell that you're a human, I don't think I'd go into a zombie situation, like a horde of people. But I guess if you find yourself in a group of zombies, maybe pretend to be a zombie and just um, pray. So you're going to need water, and you're going to need to figure out how to purify water. You're going to need shelter. So they talk about different places. So because you're going to need food, and uh, a roof, and it recommends staying in several different places to throw the zombies and whoever off your trail. So schools are a possible place to be. Uh, Office buildings. They're putting hospitals on the list, but I don't think I'd be there because that's where everybody's going to go initially. Supermarkets, but I think they're saying that there's likely zombies there as well. The mall is going to be a high zombie area. Ships are a possibility. Just make sure that there's no zombies. On an island in the mountains. There's another good idea. Oh, sporting goods stores. That's a good place to just get supplies. But stores are going to be in malls, and there's going to be a lot of zombies there. So watch the skies for uh, weather, inclement weathers. Um, and if you set a fire, zombies are going to be drawn to the light. So that's a good point. Know some wild crafting. Know how to do like get like how to fish. There's makeshift hooks that you can create. Look at try to forage for food. birds' eggs, herbs. Maybe there's going to be gardens around that one could access. Um, so know your first aid, know your knots. So they say stay hidden, blend in your environment. So if you're in the woods, adding mud to your face and clothes will make you blend with the environment. If you're in snowy areas, use white makeup and white clothes to blend in. Move at night with dark clothes on, you'll be more difficult to spot. So go in disguise as a zombie. Easy weapons. Number one is distance. So stay away from dangerous parties and run away from zombies, but try not to be too like try not to do it in the view of them because they're drawn to motion. And so in your research, like this is just in the worst case scenario if there's a real zombie. So if you're a mom, you have maybe a cast iron skillet or whatever. So that's a good melee kind of a weapon, but a rolling pin or whatever, just if you're fending off zombies and you want to and just in general, let's say you're aware that there's zombies, so you want to have a lot of decoys, distractions. So we know that they're drawn to smells and sounds and shapes. So the zombies like make a something that looks like you out of pillows and have an alarm clock go off and just have other kind of distractions like remote control vehicles, glow in the dark glow sticks or bracelets or whatever. A bouncy ball thrown at or near zombies is a distraction. So and if that ball lights up, even better. And run zigzag through the trees. Uh, so that is, I think, a good basic overview. I did a video and YouTube removed it. So hopefully this is an acceptable kind of brainstorming, but I think this is a real possibility, and I feel like the globalists are doing everything they can to bring every possible negative horror, uh, to our reality. And praise the Lord, praise God, because we are just still plugging away by the grace of God, it seems to me. So, any other suggestions about what you would recommend for a zombie apocalypse, like how to be intelligent and, prepared? Because this is an unthinkable possibility, so I don't think a lot of people would handle it that well. So, thanks for watching. God bless.